I am Veronica, and I have a special guest with me today. It is Amanda. We are going to be answering your questions. 3 questions submitted by you, the viewer. Super excited about this. And this is part 2 of our collaboration. So do check out part 1 on her channel. I will list that link below. Okay, well, I guess let's just get right to it. Question number 1, how to eliminate insecurities. Basically, bad habits formed in childhood. And I want to start by saying that any habits formed in childhood, you do not have to be carrying with you into this present moment, into this present day. The things that happened in the past, whether or not they happened in childhood, teenage years, early 20s, whenever it happened, doesn't matter. Doesn't have to be part of who you are or the story that you are telling, what your identity is. So, for example, insecurities. Instead of blaming a particular time of your life and sort of feeling resentful that you experienced that, let's instead create new. Take baby steps towards the idea of becoming a secure person. I think you have to make the choice within you first that this is who I want to be. This is the walk I'm going to walk, the talk that I'm going to do. This is the new me. So you have to identify yourself as being able to have the potential to be a secure person first. I think everybody deals with insecurities at some point. So, I mean, you're not alone. I think that you can conquer them. I know I've conquered insecurities before in my life. And again, it doesn't matter if these things happen in childhood, like they're not going to remain in your subconscious forever. Like they're not a curse you have to carry with you for your entire life.
Exactly. That's exactly it, right? We make the choice to carry insecurities with us going forward, and so there's a couple different ways
Yeah.
that we can actually, bad habits and habits are formed through repetition and through, basically reasoning. So we can reprogram our minds in a couple different ways. The first one is doing a pattern interrupt with just straight up intentions. So, for instance, oh, you know what? He's not going to call me. I'm not good enough. No, I am good enough. He is going to call me. We had a great time last night. And then you reason your way through changing your perception. That's one really quick and easy way on the fly to do a reprogram. It's a pattern interrupt. The other thing is to reprogram yourself through visualization. So for instance, let's say that, somebody says something to you and then it triggers you and you get upset and you get mad at the person. Okay. So that is a bit bad behavior that from your insecurities you no longer want. What you can do is you can actually visualize the scenario up until the point where you started to go off the deep end. And what you would do is actually visualize yourself acting the way that you would have wanted to act. And you replay that new scenario in your mind 3 or 4 times. And that'll reprogram, like visually, that'll reprogram it. So the next time it happens, boom, you'll actually react the correct way. So those are 2 really good NLP techniques for it. But again, you know what? It's a choice, right? Like we said in the first video was, oh, well, because of my bad childhood and, whatever, my parents, they were alcoholics and they never paid attention to me. So I have abandonment issues. And then that's why I'm like this in relationships. So again, we're blaming our choices now on something in the past, and we don't have to do that. We can make a choice right now. That was our past. That was childhood. We can say, look, I intend to be over that, and I intend to feel like I'm perfect, and I intend to feel like people love me. And again, do like the pattern interrupts in the moment with the intentions, right? So yeah, very much. Eliminating insecurities is just simply self-talk. Start saying some nice things to yourself. You deserve it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Thoughts about, and stop blaming the past too. Like stop feeling like it's out of your control. Like if this happened in childhood, like take ownership for it. Like decide on the new you. You don't have to keep replaying those memories, replaying those visions of these awful things that happened where you're the victim. It's like, let's just
Right.
toss these out, never revisit those things again. Let's heal that those things happened and not make that a part of who we are now.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and also revision works well for that as well, changing the perception of it. Maybe there was a time that we were bullied. Okay, well, instead of saying bullied because there's something wrong with me and me taking it personally, changing the situation around, going, okay, there's something wrong with that bully, for them to be doing that. And, and now all of a sudden that makes it not about you and that you're not good enough. And, it's easy. I intend for that bully to get over their stuff and I intend to feel like I'm good enough. So, revising what we make things mean as well, if we're going to blame things on our childhood, right? So 3 excellent things that we can do, and yours as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I hope that helped whoever asked it.
Yeah,
So
me
yeah,
too.
let's move on to question number 2.
Get to work on those techniques. Yeah, so the next one is, how can we change people using the law of attraction? Well, how we actually change people, and we touched a bit on this on the first video as well, is we change people with the law of attraction by changing the way, our opinion of them. So once we change the way that our opinion of them, then they actually start showing up differently.
Yeah.
So, for instance, right, here's a really good example. Let's say that I'm going somewhere that I really, really want to go to. Okay. Say I'm going to like the circus, and I really love the circus and I want to be there all day. And all of a sudden Jerry comes with me, but Jerry's like, I want to go home now, right? Right in the middle of my day. Okay. Now, if just Jerry says that, and I have the thought, oh, Jerry's just trying to ruin my day. All of a sudden, okay, I'm holding Jerry as a really, mean person. I'm upset at him. I think he's no good, and he's just trying to ruin my day.
Right.
Okay. Now, if I was to change my perception in that moment, because Jerry said to me, look, you know what? Oh, well, you know what? I'm not feeling good. I can't stay. I need to go home. All of a sudden, my perception changes to where Jerry's no longer a bad guy. He actually just doesn't feel good, and that's why he wants to go home, and it's not malicious to ruin my day. So the only reality that we have about people is the reality that we hold in our heads about them. Okay. So if we're going to, accuse people of using us, then yeah, guess what? They're going to be using us. If we don't want anyone to use us, never accuse anyone of using you. If you don't want anyone to reject you, never accuse anyone of rejecting you, right? Always see people in the light that you want them to be in, and then they'll show up like that. So how we change people, changing our perception and opinion of them.
Right, those judgments we make on why they're doing things and what they're capable of and what they're going to do next.
Right?
Like we're always crafting like a screenplay in our mind, and we're writing down exactly what's going to happen, and we forget.
Yeah. Oh, half the time we're mad over something somebody hasn't even done yet. Yeah. Like seriously, right? Or we're rejected. Like, oh, I'm not going to text him because he's not going to text me back.
Right. We've invented this whole scenario where they've already rejected us. It never even happened.
Right? Nobody's even picked up the phone yet to text anybody. Right?
Already happened all from within, and it's like you're paving the way for that foundation. Let's start picking where people are doing things that are in harmony with what we want and how we want them to show up, because you're telling the story of your life at every single moment. So choose your thoughts well, choose your feelings well, choose your assumptions well, your judgment, ideas about what someone can be. Stop saying that this person is too stubborn or incapable of doing this particular thing or being a certain way. Of course they're capable of anything, and pick the best.
Even if I remember that a long time ago, one of my girlfriends, right, she just absolutely loved this guy, right, and she felt like he didn't want a relationship. And one day she goes over there, she's like, don't you want a relationship with me? And he said yes. And then she's like, that's it, I've had enough. And she runs out of there and she phones me and she says, you know what, I asked him if he wanted a relationship with me. And I said, what did he say? She was like, he said yes. So I stormed out of there. I was like, are you listening to yourself? But when we are so focused on what we want to hear, we actually don't even hear the things that are actually even there. And the funny thing was he said yes. And if she would have just stopped and listened for a moment, and because she was so dead set on him rejecting her, everything got blocked. That wasn't rejection. It's the same thing as, for instance, with your, you ever lost your cell phone and you're looking for your cell phone and you're using the flashlight off your cell phone to look for your cell phone? It's because we said the cell phone's lost. So we're holding it, and our brain was like, I'll delete that for you.
I've done that.
Yeah. It deletes it for us because we're choosing to have lost our cell phone. So our subconscious mind says, okay, you won't see your cell phone. It's in your hand, but I've deleted that. And that's the thing. One. Yeah, when we focus on what people, sure, you know what, they may love you, but if you're so focused on rejection, they'll tell it to you.
See it.
Even hear it.
You literally don't see it because you're only aware of the thing that you're expecting.
That's right. And that's how we make the quantum shift. And that's why I'm such a big fan of intentions, because intentions get you focused on what you want. They shine that flashlight on. Oh, my cell in my hand. Oh, he did say he wants to be with me, right? Because when we focus on what
Yeah.
we'll make everything mean that, and yeah, yeah, and yeah, like I said, if you never make anyone's behavior mean rejection, it'll never be
Right.
rejection, right? And besides, who wants to feel like people reject them? I would never want
It's
anyone to ever think
horrible.
that I've rejected them, because I don't want to ever reject anybody.
Yeah.
Nobody make
Yeah.
anything I mean I'm rejecting you, please.
Oh, that's funny. Oh my gosh. Okay. Question number 3, how to cultivate patience. Um, well, I think that's a question that we could go on and on for a really long time, because you could interpret this in so many different ways. I mean, I think patience can be a good thing. You obviously never want to be waiting around forever and never actually get the result. But I think it's the way you feel about patience. Like, come easy to you when you know that the result is guaranteed and you know that you're on the road to the result, you're on the road to the destination. If you feel like you're just walking around like an aimless road that has no has no real destination, like I feel like patience would frustrate you. Like you
Right,
get really pissed off at the idea of patience. But I
right,
think if you can realize that when you set an intention, when you set a desire, that it's going to be there. It's going to be there at the end, like you're going to it. You'll feel
right.
okay. You
You
won't be resentful.
You nailed it. You nailed it, right? So impatience is really just a lack of results. I did a video on this a while ago. If you're feeling impatient, start making the goal a bit smaller. But
Mm,
really, okay, let's talk about really what impatience is going to be, because let's say, for instance, I'm dating Jerry and he comes over every night. We have dinner together. We watch TV, we're fool around or whatever, but he says he wants to date other teddy bears still. Okay. Now, I could look at that like I'm in a friends with benefits situation, and I can get really impatient that I'm not getting what
mhm,
I want. Now, if I was to change my perspective of it and start living from the end of being in a relationship, I could now look at it and go, okay, you know what? He comes over every night. He says he wants to date other teddy bears, but he sure the heck isn't going anywhere else. He's here every single day.
mhm.
You know, we're sleeping together. We're eating dinner every night together. He doesn't
Yeah.
ever come home. This means we're getting into a relationship, and I intend for him to be ready for a relationship.
Mhm,
So when I'm looking at that this friends with benefits is actually the beginning of a relationship,
mhm.
I'm no longer impatient, because now
Right.
I'm looking at it like I'm getting what I want. Okay.
Mhm.
So if we're getting impatient with our situation, we have to change the way we're looking at our situation, because when is the relationship going to happen? When you see that it's happening. Okay. You're the one in control of when it's going to happen. When is he going to be committed to me?
Mhm.
Well, when you decide that he's going to be committed to you and you start seeing
Right.
that you are in a committed relationship, the only person you have to convince is you, and the only
Yeah.
person to do it is you. Oh, well, I'll see it one day, I'll believe it when I see it. Well, guess what? That's never going to show up, because now
Right.
we're just reacting.
Yeah.
We have to believe it and see it in here before it's actually going to show up. So you're totally right about changing our perception of, and looking at the situation differently, because that's,
Right. Believe
yeah,
it from within first and feel like, hanging out together, the natural extension, the natural next step will be to have this person be in that official commitment that's spoken, and then
yeah.
getting engaged, getting married, having a family together, whatever.
Well,
But
that's just it, right? Like, it starts, you start dating, you date
yeah,
once a week, then all of a sudden they start coming over every day. Okay, fine, no commit. Then finally one day you're like, look, you never leave. Why don't you just move in? And then they move in, and then you're like, well, wait a minute, we live together. This is great. Why don't we get married, right? And so, it's the natural progression is about making every
yeah,
step mean you're getting to the next
and
step.
you
There's
own it.
and
Hmm.
you own it. Like, there's absolutely no reason to become impatient,
Right.
because you own it, right? And yeah, and it's about, yeah, accepting and enjoying where you are right now.
Right. Seeing yourself as that.
Yeah, we can't resist our current reality. If we okay, that's it. You know what, Jerry? Until you say you're going to marry me, I'm going to leave and go to that hotel over there. Jerry's going to be like, okay, what's your problem? Then fine, go. Like, if I'm not ready, like, bye bye, right? We have to accept our current reality for what it is, right? And once we do that, we stop pushing against it.
Yeah.
start focusing on the next thing. If we're hating our reality just so much, then we're just going to get more and more and more and more.
Right. You're persisting in that situation that you hate. So I
Yeah.
think that patience can be easy when you realize that you are who you want to be first.
Yeah.
Like if you want to be in that commitment, if you want this desire, I already have it. That's who I am. That is the road that I'm on. And just knowing it inside and feeling it, owning it, that's who I am. Then there's no reason to get frustrated with this current moment or throw your hands up in the air.
Well, exactly. And, the funny thing is, see it from the other person's point of view. Okay. So I remember that in one of my relationships, I created my specific person to have baggage and they didn't want a commitment. And then I got frustrated and impatient because I was making it mean that there was something wrong with me. But then finally I stopped and I went, wait a minute, I created the poor guy with baggage. Was like, oops. Now all of a sudden I was the most caring, understanding person. I was like, don't worry, it's okay. I get it. I'm sorry. It's fine. I like what we have now. And then I intend for him to be ready for a commitment. I intend for me over his baggage. So take a look at it. What have you projected on the other person? If you projected them to have baggage and not want a relationship because they've never had a relationship before, well, why start changing the story about them and seeing it from their point of view? I mean, do you want the relationship or do you want to be with them, right? And if you want to be with them, no matter where you are in the relationship, it's about enjoying it.
Mm-hmm. I think it's like stop getting so blinded by emotions in the current moment, start looking logically and taking like a pause to look without emotion, not all that frustration, anger, fear, whatever,
Yeah.
look from a pure standpoint and you'll know the right thing to do. You'll know the right thing to feel and you'll be like, wow, this was so simple. Like, why was I making it so hard?
You've nailed it. Emotions are the
Yeah.
huge block. They're a physical manifestation of our thoughts. Our emotions never control our thoughts. Okay. It's always our thoughts
Yeah.
create our emotions, And yeah, emotions are a huge block. Just this morning, I found like I was having some emotions about something and I got over it. And I was like, oh my God, Amanda, what are you doing? I'm like, that's a huge block. And then soon enough, I like shifted in a second and then boom, all of a sudden, like all these things started happening. And I was like, oh, that's good. I'm like, finally, I'm like, wow. But it's just being easy on yourself, and it was like one little thought, and I was like, how was that getting by me? Right? I mean, it was what it was, right? Like it's an ongoing thing. I don't think it's ever like the destination, it's the journey, right?
Yeah.
Things
So
change every
beautiful.
day. I want something different,
Exactly. I know. I get something. I want something new.
Right?
Fun.
Something good enough. Right?
Oh,
Totally.
yeah. Well, we could talk about this all day, but I do think we need to close up. We'll probably do this again, I'm sure. It's fun.
Sure. It is. I've had a lot of fun. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you so much for being on my channel. And do check out Amanda's channel and like her, subscribe to her, do it all. Follow her, all the different ways you can show love.
You're me pushed out. So make sure right now you subscribe to Veronica's channel. You make sure you hit that bell icon because she does lives
Oh,
and
yeah,
you'll
the
be
bell
notified
icon.
when she does it. Thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing.
All of it.
Only nice comments too. Only nice ones.
Yes.